I need to talk to you about how to make sure that your NCOERs write themselves. Like, you don't need to be stressing when your annual or a change of raters coming up of how to write, of how to give, how to talk story and bullets with your rater. Right? You want to make sure that as you're working on a day-to-day basis, that your NCOER is actually writing itself. And how do we do that? So we do that by living the first leadership principle, again, which is to know yourself and seek self-improvement. And we do that by living that first general order, which is to take charge of everything within the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. When we do these things every day, when we apply them to ourselves, we're going to see that our NCOERs are going to take care of themselves. But how do we actually do that? Like, what are some actionable things? So what I need you to do is to look at your team, right? We're not talking about us as individuals. We're talking about us as a team. Maybe it's a fire team that you have. Maybe it's a squad. Maybe it's a larger section. Maybe it's a platoon. Maybe it's a company. Look at yourself. Talk to your platoon leader, your platoon sergeant. Get a copy of the last quarter's quarterly training brief and understand how your commander assessed you as a TP or U. Where are the weaknesses that your command team thinks that you need to improve on? Listen, if your whole team are experts, man, I think you're pretty lethal. But if your whole team is experts on your individually assigned weapons, but your average PT score was a 215, then the biggest room for improvement is PT. It could be the exact opposite, right? Now, that's just a way to look at it. But you need to look at your inspections. When's the last time that your unit had an ICI or an SCI? And what were the findings? Was the arms room an issue? If it was, then live that first general order. Raise your hand and say, I'm ready to go to the armors course. And I want to take charge of that arms room. I want to be the guy who kicks weapons back because they're not clean enough. Right? Who doesn't want to live that dream? Man, you can crush souls by just pulling your finger out of the old star chamber and saying, that's not clean. Right? I mean, come on, what are we doing? You know, if you have no MRT in the company and you're constantly having to outsource trainers to come in and train your organization about master resilience training, then raise your hand and go to school. Come back and actually give the courses, the training, and get into DTMS and update your records. Maybe it's equal opportunity or SHARP. Maybe it's the UA program. Everybody's favorite. Everybody wants to be a UA. It's a nice watch you got there. Right? Listen to me, friends. Odds are people are coming and going in your organization. And the people who are leaving are the people who have been there for a while. Maybe it's being a licensed examiner for your military driver's training program. Man, that's huge, man. That's critical. Understand where your unit and your team is accepting risk. And say, I want to do something about that. I want to make a process, a product, a way forward so that we can take what we're weak at and we can make it a strength. When you turn a weakness into a strength, when you live that first principle of leadership and you seek improvement to your team, your NCOER is going to write itself, because everything that you're doing is an individualistic bullet that you're going to get credit for down the line. Now, I don't want you to work for your NCOER. I want you to work to take care of yourself and your team. Improve your foxhole, and the paperwork down the road will take care of itself. But you have to find these things. You have to chase after them, and you have to grind. That may mean you have to go to school. It may mean you have to go TDY. It may mean that you get tasked out to go lead that railroad team, to get everything prepared for that line haul to go down to NTC or JRTC. It may mean that you work some late nights, some early mornings. It may mean that you work through some lunch as you're building these things. But then you create that continuity book. And then you reach out to your left and to your right, and you help out your other companies. Now your impact is not just your company, but it's your entire battalion. Does that make sense? Friends, I'm telling you, this is the easiest way to help make sure that your NCOER has some qualified and quantified quality bullets on it. And what you're going to find when you do this along the way is there's probably a school that you have to go to, right? If some of your mandatory training items like MRT is weak, well, you got to go to school if you don't have it. If you go to school, you get more points if you're a sergeant. That way you can attain the rank of staff sergeant easier. Also, your ERB or your SRB is getting more and more populated, and which is going to show the board further down the line that you've continued to improve yourself. You have institutional knowledge that has been poured into you. I can trust you with matters relating to people if you have courses like ERT, that's a new one that hadn't even been released yet, MRT, EO, and SHARP, right? Those are basic leadership courses. Friends, you need all three of those. So go out and get them. Raise your hands. And again, the folks who were teaching, who was your primary, if they're leaving, that's an opportunity, right? Whereas you may not have been able to get to school before. As soon as that primary leaves, your unit needs a new primary. So be like, before they even leave, say, hey, Sergeant Smith, he's leaving. He was our primary EO. I need to get to school so I can become our primary EO before he's gone, so that you don't have to accept risk on that training and on us as an organization, because I will take charge of this. Man, when you do that, I'm telling you, friends, your NCOER is going to write itself. I hope all this made sense to you, friends. If it did, please leave some comments down below about the things that we can do to help live the first principle of leadership, which is to know yourself and seek self-improvement. Some actionable steps that we can do to take charge of our post. Everything in the limits of it. Because I'm telling you, when you live these two first things, you as a leader is going to improve. And when you empower those in your charge, when you sometimes you got to push them, right? When you pick them up and you take them with you, and like, hey, these are the things I need you to do. You're going to make them better off too. Looking forward to it, friends. Share this out with a friend or a battle buddy if you think it's going to be some value added to their kit bag. And we'll keep this conversation growing and going along. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.